This is a fascinating one for me. Mal, I really like the idea of these two. Andre, you know, he is the genius. He's the giant. He's done it all. He's won every slam. And then you've got Mardy Fish. And I mean, this guy has a serious talent. Well, they're up against each other now. Mardy has still got so much to prove. Agassi has proven everything that there is to prove, except that you can win a Grand Slam when you're 50.
Well, right now, Andre Agassi is in a position in his career. He's just trying to see what he still has left. He and everybody else, us included, knows that his best years are behind him. But he has always said, you know what, I'm going to continue to play when I feel like I can still compete. And for him, competing isn't just going out and playing a match. You see, he's 34 years old. And, you know, this year he won his 800th match a couple of weeks ago in Los Angeles. But for Andre Agassi, competing is winning Tennis Masters events and winning majors. And he's a player who's a rhythm player. You see his tournament record so far in 2004, 25 and 10, but he's pulled out of an event recently, pulled out of Indianapolis. And he's just been talking about, especially after his match against Jurgen Melzer in Toronto, he just said, you know what, I kept going for my shots and I just didn't have the rhythm. He was complaining that the balls were really fast, or the pace of play was really fast.
The string tension had something to do with it also.
And he just never felt like he could get his rhythm.
That rhythm thing that you're talking about, we saw also from Roddick to some extent in his semifinal match, and we even from Federer saw a little bit of that. But they were able to recapture it, get it back, and get to the final.
Well, if you 2 points ago, that long point where Fish eventually made his way up to the net, but eventually lost it. I mean, that's the kind of point that Agassi wants to play. He wants to be out here. It's the heat of the day right now. He wanted to play this match in the heat of the day. So don't be surprised if throughout the course of this match you see Mardy Fish trying to shorten things up with the serve and volley and making, you know, pressing a little bit. He doesn't want to stay on the baseline.
Thanks you for your support of Western and Southern Financial Group Masters. Since 1987, proceeds from
Jimmy Connors got over 1,200 matches, followed by Ivan Lendl, Guillermo Vilas, John McEnroe, and Stefan Edberg, with Agassi closing in on Edberg. It's, you know, he's had a long run of it, and there were a few, 2 or 3 years there where he dropped out of the top 10, sometimes even out of the top 100, but he came back every time, and he has been a hugely important part of tennis's success over this last couple of decades.
You know, it's a great tribute to Agassi that he has been able to come back, and he's dedicated himself to the game, and he's shown his love for the game. And certainly around the world, people have shown their love for him and what he's able to do on the tennis court. And only 6 players in the history of the game, 800+ wins.
50.
Put the towel down, Russ. Put the towel down.
Agassi telling the ball person behind the court to take the towel off. It was hanging right there on the scoreboard, or on the clock, I should say.
He's very meticulous. He's very particular.
Cliff, if you think about it, every player has their little things on the court that they want it the way they want it. I mean, you'll see him throughout the match. He'll take a bunch of balls and give a couple to one ball kid, or maybe all of them to that ball kid, because that's the way he wants to go when he's serving. He wants to get it from that kid, or where he's putting his towels. It's very typical for players to be just very particular about the way they want things done.
How about this? He'll call the restaurant if he's eaten there before he goes to the restaurant. He'll talk to the maitre d', and they'll order exactly what he wants before they ever get there. Talk meticulous. Not every time.
Right. That's Andre, though. You know, when you're Andre Agassi, though, yeah, I mean, you can do that. You can have things done the way you want them most of the time. that's the favorite shot right there from Mardy Fish.
40-50.
Off the backhand side there. He does that little jump up on his right foot. He's actually off the ground when he hits that shot.
If Mardy Fish loses this match, sorry, Mel, he'll be out of the top 30 in the world because he's defending so many points from last year.
Game, Fish.
One apiece in the first set. They've only played once before, these two, one by Mardy Fish earlier this year. And it is steamy here, as it usually is in Mason, Ohio, not far from Cincinnati. 85 degrees, but high humidity, clear. Typical day, really, for this time of the year, this area.
Might have been 53% humidity this morning at about 9 o'clock. I mean, it is steaming out there right now.
50.
In other words, you're saying that our graphic needs updating?
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, well, but then again, we're coat and ties, and maybe it's a little hot up here. So
30. Love.
one of the things we talked about earlier that I think is going to be interesting and to see how it plays out throughout the course of this match, and we haven't really seen any effects of it yet from Fish, is how that lower back is going to respond.
Mardy Fish will serve, and we come back here to Mason, Ohio. Well, welcome back, everybody, at day one of our coverage of the Western and Southern Financial Group Masters. Mardy Fish and Andre Agassi, 2-1 first set. Here's Mardy Fish talking about Andre's game.
And I got to serve well. He's obviously a great returner. You know, take advantage of my opportunities like I did in San Jose on his return game, on my return games. You know, I mean, it all starts with the serve for me. And if I serve well, I can keep myself in a match. And, you know, whether I take advantage of my opportunities or not is, you know, I've lost the last two matches I played 7-6, 7-6. So, and I obviously didn't take advantage of my opportunities there on the return game. So, you know, it should be fun, should be interesting. I've always loved playing guys like that. I always play better when I play really good players.
He took out Andre Agassi in the semifinal of San Jose. It was 5-7, 6-4, and then 6-2 in the third.
And in that match, Cliff, he actually had 29 aces. You know, just a second ago, he said, well, the serve is the biggest part of my game. Well, that's the kind of serving he's going to need today.
Well, it was huge for him here last year.
Right. Oh, absolutely. In the final against Roddick.
Yeah.
I mean, if against a guy like Roddick, who's going to hold his serve 90+% of the time, you got to hold your own. You know, Mardy Fish has a huge serve, but when I was talking to his coach, Kelly Jones, earlier today, here you see Mardy, just 22 years old, living in Tampa, Florida, only 17-12 on this year. When talking to Kelly Jones, he says, don't be surprised if he's only serving like, you know, maybe 75, 85% because of that lower back. He's like, the first set is going to be very important. He was actually practicing in Indianapolis. Hits a first serve, feels something in his lower back, hits a second serve, and then his back completely locked up. And there's a shot of Kelly Jones right there.
He's a Cincinnati boy, isn't he, Kelly? I think he's from here.
He is from this area. He's been working with Fish for about 2 years now. You know, but he didn't hit balls for 5 days and just started hitting balls, speaking of Mardy Fish, this past Friday. And Kelly Jones said, you know, we actually wished we had another day or so to prepare for this match.
Fish.
Pretty good serving display so far from Fish. No chances to break yet in this match. 2-2 first set.
But I think this is a really important match for Fish. He had mentioned the two matches that he had lost 7-6 in the third in Los Angeles to Cyril Saunier. And you folks might have seen that right here on the ESPN networks. And then in Indianapolis, lost to Gregory Carraz. But one thing Marty has been able to do is he has been able to get up to play big name players in big occasions. And this is one of those occasions.
The guy who's seen a lot of big name players playing on big occasions.
Darren Cahill, that's right, Agassi's coach.
And before that, he watched another guy who did pretty well too. He took it to #1 in the world, Leighton Hewitt. 40 love Agassi, Mardy Fish in San Jose final. He went down there to Andy Roddick in another very close match. Those two friends, Fish and Roddick, and Fish says it's tough to lose to a good friend because you still want to beat the guy. And he lost to Federer in the final of the grass court tournament in Halle, Germany, which is one of those that precede Wimbledon.
Yeah, but that final might be a match that Mardy Fish wants to forget. He got thumped in that match.
Going to Agassi on serve. No real threat against serve yet here. As Agassi takes a 3-2 lead, Mardy Fish to serve, and we come back. 3-2 Agassi. This is Mardy Fish about to serve.
Quite a few matches have been played today, actually. There's Roger Federer at the top of your screen. The great things about these tennis matches is that you have so many great matchups. Federer, Herbati, Jan-Michael Gamble has already gone down to the French Open champion Gaston Gaudio. How about this matchup? Juan Carlos Ferrero and Arnaud Clément. See Taylor Dent there taking on Robredo. Another great match, the 14th seed, Safin taking on Novak, and Todd Reed there. Todd Reed got into the tournament as a lucky loser. And late
when Coria pulled out.
That's right, when Guillermo Coria pulled out with a shoulder problem. Hewitt taking on Bogomolov, and this is the bottom half. What a match there. Juan Ignacio Cella taking out Rafael Nadal, the young Spaniard who actually took a set off Hewitt last week, and then Wayne Arthurs over the 16th seed, Andre Pavel. Tommy Haas on court right before this match we're watching in 3 sets over Rainer Schittler, the 8th seed, and Sheng Schalken, the Dutchman. How about that matchup? 6-6 and another guy about 6'8". And Brad Gilbert taking a look at this match right here with his son right next to him, Zach.
50.
Checking out his old charge, Mr. Agassi. They were together for a long time. He lived with Agassi through the bad years and the good years. From 142 to #1 in the world. There's a lot at stake for U.S. tennis and for the Davis Cup team from Mardy Fish, because he's been the #2 player for not every time, but for the most part now. We watched him play, and he's been through his ups and downs. You talked about the injuries a lot, and they're an important part of it.
I'll be the first to tell you, when it comes to injuries, players are going to have to play through injuries. But sometimes when you have knee injuries like I had, or lower back problems like Fish is having right now, those can be some of the worst, because those are injuries that affect you literally on every shot you hit. But right now, for Mardy Fish, it doesn't seem like it's negatively affecting him. He's still hitting, even though that first serve missed, 129 miles an hour.
30 up.
I'll just say again now, excuse me, that if Mardy Fish is not playing 100%, he's not going to be able to beat Andre Agassi. It's just too tough.
But the question is Agassi going to be playing, you know, at his best or close to his best, which we necessarily haven't seen. We didn't see it in Los Angeles. We didn't see it against Jürgen Melzer in Toronto. Agassi pulls out of Indianapolis with a hip problem, strain in his hip. So is he going to be 100% in this match or throughout this week?
30.
That double fault gives Agassi first chance to break. But who do you have if you don't? If Mardy Fish is not your number 2 singles player after Andy Roddick in Davis Cup competition, James Blake's injured.
You know, you might say a guy like Robbie Ginepri is a player. You just mentioned James Blake, and you know, I want to say hello to him and wish him the best. Not only did he have his neck problem, a fractured vertebrae in his neck that he suffered right before the French Open, but
There was an on-court injury, right?
An on-court injury, but he also lost his father recently, and he's also himself. He has been ill, so he's been really struggling physically and emotionally. So we wish him the best and hope he gets out here soon.
Well, I'll second that. He's a good man. Be nice to have him back sooner rather than later, too. Game point. Yeah, there's Ginepri, there's Dent, but these guys are not, you know, they're up and down, and nobody is really taking this bull by the horns and going with it the way that Andy Roddick has done.
No, I mean, well, but what Andy Roddick has done is very rare. I mean, you don't see that very often. Those are the greats. But you do need a player on your Davis Cup team, or in a couple of weeks, the Olympic team, who can complement what Andy Roddick is able to do. A healthy Mardy Fish is able to do that.
See, now that's where I'm going with this thing. What you just said, a healthy Mardy Fish can complement Andy Roddick, but he's got to step up to the plate. I mean, these injuries have just hampered him.
Yeah, he pulled out of Nottingham right before Wimbledon when he had a hip problem.
Another break chance saved, and deuce on the serve game at 2-3.
But I'm wondering, there's another look at Kelly Jones, the coach for Fish. I'm wondering if this lower back problem has anything to do with that hip, because Fish pulled out of the French Open with some hip tendonitis, pulled out of Nottingham, as I just mentioned, with the same problem. And then maybe you find yourself compensating a little bit. But I think what we've seen on these last couple of points, got a couple of first serves in, and he's made his way in, a little serve and volley. I think that's where he can be successful. Ultimately, in his perfect game plan, that's how he plays.
Fish.
Struggle, but Fish holds, and it's even 3-3 for a set.
3 games all.
Marty's dad, Tom, tennis pro in Vero Beach, Florida, steered him toward tennis as a kid because he was a very good golfer. In fact, he's still a pretty good golfer, but he was wavering between the two sports.
I think he made the right choice, Marty.
And then he steered himself down to Andy Roddick's place in Boca Raton. He moved in with the Roddick family. He treated him like a son. He and Andy would go to school, race cars to school in the morning, played on the high school basketball team together, even shared a limo to their senior prom. He says that they wanted to see how good they can get, and they would just beat up on each other every day, playing and trying to kill each other on the tennis court.
You just saw a quick shot there of Mardy Fish using his knuckles to rub into that lower back. It's the first time I've seen that in the match.
Agassi has not had much trouble holding yet. Fish has. He'll serve and we come back as you see some of the fans enjoying the surroundings here in Mason. Mardy Fish, last year's finalist here. He played in the championship match, and it was a really terrific match. In fact, to me, it was the best of the Masters Series finals of the year as Mardy Fish went down to Andy Roddick, but he had 2 match points on the way.
Yeah, unfortunately for Fish, though, both of those match points were on Roddick's serve. I mean, imagine if Fish wins that match, what that does for the rest of his year.
Didn't have a bad rest of the year because he also, sorry, man, he won in Sweden also at Stockholm at the end of the year.
That was his first and only tournament win, and Andre Agassi here getting a little bit of luck from the net court. And if you still going back to last year's event, if Mardy Fish wins this match, Andy Roddick finishes #2 in the world. That's how close Roddick finished #1 to Roger Federer, who was #2. It was just a handful of points, a couple dozen points.
Drops back on his side, 30-all. Struggled in his last serve game. The Sun's not in a good position for the server from that side now. What a pickup from Fish. That thing got right behind him. I mean, he can move when he has to, but not quite quick enough.
And this is a nice shot here from Agassi just to get it back, and look at Fish from behind him. And Agassi just letting it go. But if anything will tighten up your back a little bit, it's something in doing that move right there from Fish.
Break point. Oh, the lob that was the right shot to play, but Fish was right there. He's very good overhead. He's very good on the serve. Anything above his shoulder and you get a hold of it, look out.
Yeah, but he should have done maybe a little bit more with that overhead. He let Agassi get back into the point by hitting that overhead right back at him. But nice job, nice recovery, and nice save on the break point. But you can only give, I think, Agassi so many break points. And you're living very dangerously. You know, when in consecutive serve games, you're giving him break points. I mean, this is still, at 34 years old, one of the best return of servers in the game. But, you know, what can you do when your opponent on the other side of the court throws in the 127 miles an hour? I mean, Agassi got his racket on him. It was just so fast. The pace got it.
advantage fish.
And he's up in it from there. 133 miles an hour. Remember the first and only time these two played. 29 aces Fish had earlier this year in San Jose.
And another, and it's even. So Fish has struggled. A couple of break points in that game that he saved. A couple of break points in his last serve game. But the final score is 4-4.
And if you look at all the players, all these great players, I mean, these guys right here, maybe with the exception of Rios down there at the bottom, these are going to be Hall of Famers. Agassi leading all players with 16 Masters events titles. To go along with 8 majors. That's a play we haven't really seen. Actually, we've seen it one other time from Fish in this match, and he missed the return, but taking a second serve and coming in.
15.
Well, one thing we've noticed, and I'll keep a look on, the pace that Andre's serving. That first serve there, 106 miles an hour. Agassi seems very content with just spinning that first serve in. That one's spinning it out wide at 104 miles an hour. It's a huge return from Fish. I mean, most guys don't consider their backhand their best shot. Certainly that is the case with Mardy Fish. Same shot previously. He went to the forehand side. That one, he pulls it cross court or up the line to the backhand side of Agassi.
In front on Agassi's serve. Until now, Agassi has won his serve easily. Oh, a couple of break points now against Agassi.
15.
And look at Fish here, just being a little bit more aggressive. You hold off a couple of break points on your own serve, take a couple of backhands early. It just builds your confidence, and it just makes you go for a little bit more, and it's paying off in this game for him. That's a nice play from Agassi. What does he do? The second serve, he doesn't go to the backhand side of Fish. He goes to the forehand side. There's the forehand, but look at him right on the baseline. That's all hand-eye coordination. You don't see that at the clubs.
Break point still. So all the chances that Agassi had and did not convert, Mardy Fish has converted, and he will serve for the first set at 5-4 when we come back. And Southern Financial Group Masters, it's day 1. It's Mardy Fish who has just broken Andre Agassi, the number 11 seed. Fish, a finalist here last year, went out to his buddy Andy Roddick in the championship match. So there's a lot at stake for him here, just in terms of points that he's defending.
And when you're defending points like that, it's actually a certain pressure, because he knows that if he doesn't defend, if he doesn't win this match, I mean, his ranking is going to drop considerably.
Love 15.
Because you had mentioned it earlier. You said if Fish, loses this match, for example, he'll drop out of the top 30 for sure.
Yes.
All right. So there's a little bit of pressure on him. That kind of pressure, because I mean, he's a player. I mean, this is the time of year when he wants to be moving up, not back when he's playing on hard courts.
15.
But you got to give him credit so far today in this first set. he is, even though at times he's made a handful of errors, and we showed the differential in the previous game, negative differential on winners to errors. But when he's needed to come up with the big serve, he's been able to do it. That's what's surprising me a little bit, especially off the forehand side. I expect Fish to hit winners off the backhand side. But the match shot for shot with Agassi, and then he opens up his shoulders and rips the winner. That's surprising me a little bit from Fish, and now he has a couple of set points.
And wins it on his first opportunity. Mardy Fish has won the first set 6-4 against Andre Agassi. Set 2, and we come back. Chances a whole lot more, in fact, than Mardy Fish, but it's Fish who won the set.
Well, there were really two big differences in that first set. One of them is the 20 winners by Mardy Fish compared to only 3 by Agassi. How often do you see that? And there's the errors, the unforced errors from Fish we had talked about, but really also the break points. Agassi 0 for 4. You expect him to get the break of serve, and that one break point that Mardy Fish needed to get the break, he was able to get it, and then he served out the first set.
Yeah, those 4 break points that Agassi had were in 2 separate games. And you've been talking about his expertise as a serve returner. Well, not good enough, as Fish came through very well with the serve, which is so critical to his game.
Well, so, and then fortunately for Mardy Fish, we don't really see it. And though he's made a couple of gestures, with that lower back, and Andre Agassi goes to the wrong side of the court, gets out of his chair, goes to the end that Fish was supposed to be on. How often do you see Andre Agassi do that? I mean, to me, that might even be a sign. Okay, where's his head? Is his head really in this thing right now? Little things like that go a long ways to telling you where a guy is mentally in a match. But Fish, you haven't really seen any signs of that back bothering him, though we've seen him rub it a couple of times.
The best back therapy that I can think of is a 1-set lead over Andre Agassi.
Left.
I mean, not only is this injury, these spasms that Fish has been having in his lower back, not only is it important for this tournament in the rest of the summer, but for Mardy Fish, it's important for the Olympics. I mean, he's on the Olympic team, and he doesn't want to go to Athens, Greece, injured. And here's a look at the Olympic team with Fish. There's also Andy Roddick, Vince Spadea, Taylor Dinn, and I love the fact that the Bryan brothers are on that team, the #1 doubles team in the world, Bob and Mike Bryan. And again, Agassi just rolling in that serve, and look at Fish. He's a pretty big guy, and he gets on top of it, and he's really able to get his hands through that backhand. Over the last couple of weeks on ESPN.com, I've been, doing a couple of pieces, and I've been talking about this is the time of year that Mardy Fish and Andre Agassi, usually can do pretty well. During this stretch, which the U.S. Open Series, which started in Los Angeles, and goes all the way through, leading, to that final event in Long Island. I mean, I've been waiting for these two guys right here to step up and do something, and they just haven't been able to get it going yet.
We've been talking about Davis Cup, obviously, but you saw the Olympic team, and Mardy Fish is a part of that. Agassi has a little Olympic gold in his closet, by the way.
Back in 1996, the Atlanta Games. Beat Sergi Bruguera from Spain in the gold medal round.
There were just a few points in that first set that said so much about it and about the outcome of it. Again, Agassi's chances to break that he did not take. Mardy Fish capitalizing on his second opportunity, wins the set, and now the momentum's changed. Because that first set, frankly, looked to be all Agassi. He had no trouble holding serve till he was broken at 5-4.
Well, I felt like it was pretty even throughout that first set, but you did get the sense that Agassi would eventually get the break. And that was one of the things I had said. I was like, well, you can't keep giving Agassi these chances, but just the opposite. Fish got the break.
That one sails, Agassi holds. So for Mardy Fish, a medal would be a huge deal.
It would be unbelievable. It would be, you know, I mean, how many people can say, first of all, how many people can say they got to compete in the Olympic Games, and then to win a medal is just a step above. You know, people ask me all the time, what would you rather do, win a Grand Slam or win a gold medal? And I've always said, I mean, you can't really go wrong with either one, obviously, but I've always said that I think it'd be pretty cool to stand on the podium with a gold medal around your neck, having them play the national anthem. I think that'd be the ultimate goal.
That's amazing to me that he would pick a Grand Slam or a gold medal over a Grand Slam, because I think if you talk to most players, as great as the Olympics is, I think if you talk to most players, you know, if they had the choice to win Wimbledon, for example, or gold medal, because really in tennis, and it's been like this for decades, the Grand Slams are the pinnacle of tennis.
Most of the best players in the world are going really for the first time to the Olympic Games this year. Leighton Hewitt is not on the list, and neither is Andre Agassi, just by the way. But for the rest, they're showing up.
13. But you know what? Andy Roddick, in fact, he told me earlier this year, and I was asking him about the Olympics. You know, he said, if there was one event I could win this year, it'd be the Olympics. With that said, he already has a Grand Slam title under his belt. 14. But I mean,
So you think that if you offered him either a Wimbledon title or the Olympics?
I'm just going by what Andy told me. He's like, the one tournament, the one event I want to win this year is the Olympics. It's exactly what he told me. And if he plays Roger Federer sometime during the Olympics, it won't happen.
Well, I'm not sure about that. I think the chance is going to be there eventually for I know it will. He's going to take Federer out. He played too well yesterday. He played very well in the final of Wimbledon as well.
But I think what's refreshing is that, you know, an event like the Olympics that is the host of thousands and thousands of great athletes, you know, that all of the top players, certainly, like you mentioned, Agassi is not there, Hewitt's not there, but Federer is there. Corey and Moya, Tim Henman, it's great to see him going. Now Bandy and Safin, Frenchman Grosjean, Nicholas Kiefer from Germany, who's had a great summer so far. Quarterfinals in Los Angeles and Indianapolis, Kiefer did, as well as a semifinal last week in Toronto.
Now Bandian pulled out here with right elbow problems. Corey also right shoulder.
Tommy Haas will be a teammate of Nicholas Kiefer.
Agassi leads 2 games to 1.
2-1 to Agassi in the second set. We're on serve. 6-4 in the first set to Mardy Fish. Agassi, 2 games to 1. This is a Western and Southern Western and Southern Financial Group Masters. It's also part of the US Open Series, which started 3 weeks ago now. 10 events on the ATP, between the ATP and the WTA Tour events, points awarded on a weekly basis. Top 3 end up getting bonus money identified there at the US Open.
Yeah, the person who wins this US Open Series, their prize money at the US Open will be increased by 50%, and this is the current standings of the series. Andy Roddick leading with his win in Indianapolis and a final yesterday in Toronto, and obviously Roger Federer has jumped way up there. But how about Nicholas Kiefer? You just mentioned a couple of finals.
Semi-final last week also.
That's right, in the semifinals in Toronto. So a great group of guys right now leading this US Open Series. And the player who finishes number 2 in the series will have their prize money at the US Open increased by 25%, and the number 3 player by 10%. Nice little monetary incentive for the folks. Like they need it anymore. I think it's important for Fish to establish himself early here at the second set. You know, he's trailing 1-2, and with each hole to serve for Agassi, he'll be trailing. And Agassi will be very eager to try to sneak in a break.
30-50.
Came close to sneaking in a break in the first set a couple of times, but just wasn't able to convert the 4 chances that he had. Now it's 30-15. 1-2 second set.
That's a nasty serve.
By Miller, highlight. It'll be Tuesday night at 9 on ESPN. 15-love.
You know what we have? You know, every time I call one of Agassi's matches, you know, you're this far into the match, and you always at some point see him just come up with some, you know, great reflex half volley or something. We just haven't seen the Agassi that we're typically used to seeing. 40-50. You know, I didn't see his match. I was sitting there in the stands last week against Jürgen Melzer, but I can see what Agassi was talking about when he said, you know, he just didn't feel comfortable. He used that word 5 or 6 times in his press conference.
Well, I was, and we called that match, Mal, and he just lost control of the ball. I mean, it's a little bit like that. You know, a shot that for him is bread and butter. Well, he was doing that consistently, and I must say Jürgen Melzer, the young Austrian, took it to him too. I mean, he was just firing from everywhere. No rhythm for Agassi that night.
Right, and certainly we don't want to take away anything from Jürgen Melzer, because You know, that lefty serving Melzer can give Agassi a lot of problems, and he did on his own serve.
Agassi holds, and he stays in front. Boy, it's a little bit like the first set, isn't it? Not much has happened yet in the set. It's Mardy Fish to serve. He played the final last year. When we come back. To forget our coverage of the Davis Cup, of course, and the great Masters events in North America. This is the second of this part of the season, and also the second that is part of the U.S. Open Series. 3-2 on serve. Mardy Fish serving to Andre Agassi. Day one from Mason.
And that was a gimme right there from Mardy Fish. He throws in a double fault. He's been serving very, very well today.
Tough time of the day to be serving from them.
Serving into the sun. You can look at his shadow and tell where he's serving into. And now, you know, an error, a quick error off of that forehand side, and now a small opening here for Agassi. But what we've seen so far today is Fish has been able to come up with a big serve, maybe an A service winner. And there's that serve. Takes the pace off, swings it out wide nicely, 109 miles an hour.
I know that Fish has got his health problems, lower back problems, but he's looking a little leaner and meaner than he was even last year when he played here, to me anyway. So I would say his overall physical condition looks to be good, discounting injuries.
Well, Cliff, that's one of the reasons why, I mean, I would maybe even question what his conditioning is like right now, because remember, he pulled out of French with that hip injury. He pulled out of Nottingham right before Wimbledon with that hip. You know, coming into this series, you know, how strong was he able to get himself?
Break point. And another race.
And when you do that right there, I mean, you're just helping yourself out, you know, so much when you can come up with a serve like that when you need it most. I mean, and every great player, you know, who relied on their serve, you know, whether it was Sampras or even Ivanisevic or Rafter, they were able to do it.
Fish is a baseball fan. He threw out the first pitch last night. Cincinnati Reds going down to the Astros 7-5. He loosened up a little bit there with the old pitch last night, and he's in front now in this match.
I don't know if I'd be on the mound, though, if my back's bothering me a little bit. But usually, you know, when you get celebs or athletes or tennis players out on the mound, usually they don't, you know, they're not trying to throw down the heat. They just throw a little puffball in there.
Cannot imagine Mardy Fish throwing a puffball in there with all those people watching at in the baseball stadium.
No, they all do that.
He's got to show what he's got. I mean, he's an athlete.
Didn't you see John Kerry last week just throw that puffball?
He's not an athlete. He's a politician.
Yeah, I know, but no one throws down the heat. Or hey, get in there and throw the sinker. Both these guys going over. That's why the little delay here. Both these guys went over because new balls. And this is, Cliff, this is another indication of what we were talking about. Is Andre Agassi really mentally into this match? He is automatic. New balls, he goes over and gets a new racket. He forgot. And that's the second time we've seen that today. Once he got out of his chair and went to the wrong side of the court after the first set. Little things like that. I mean, granted, that's a great backhand right there, but little things like that is telling me he is not on right now. Gaston Gaudio taking out the American gamble in straight sets. Juan Ignacio Chell over Rafael Nadal. Tie break in the third. Cheng Shulkin in straight sets. An Australian, the big lefty serving Wayne Arthurs, took out the Romanian Andre Pavel, the 16th seed.
And Arthurs was a lucky loser to get in here. He got in because Sanchez and Nalbandian pulled out. That's Sanchez and Nalbandian. Agassi holds, no breaks a serve in the second yet. A couple of close calls. Fish to serve and we come back on serve. Mardy Fish is trailing Andre Agassi in the second, but they're on serve. Struggled in his last serve game. Well, he struggled on at least 3 serve games in the match, but has not been broken yet, Mardy Fish. He's broken once. He's got 1 set under his belt.
50.
You know, and with Andre Agassi, mentally and maybe even a little bit physically a little flat today, as he has been throughout this summer. When you're returning against a guy like Mardy Fish, you know, who's many times is just hit or miss, it doesn't allow you sometimes to get into your own rhythm.
I'm wondering about all of this, Mel, because you've been talking about it for a while now, and it's quite interesting. You're saying that he's meticulous, which he is. He likes to have the ball boys here, etc., etc.
Sure.
Secondly, he's lost his way here twice with the score, or which side of the court he should be. Those two things don't really tally to me. And then you were saying that means to you that his heart's not in this.
You know what?
Match?
No. I'm not saying his heart isn't into it. I think his heart is into the game. I think he loves the game, and he loves the competition. But sometimes it's beyond your control. Once you've reached a certain point in your career, and for him, it's 34 years old. I'm just saying there's times when what's going on out on the court, especially with what your opponent is doing, is out of your control. That's never been the case with Agassi throughout his career. He was the dictator when he was on the tennis court.
The Punisher.
He's doubting his ability right now. He doesn't have the highest level of confidence, and with every single journalist asking him after every loss, every journalist asking him, oh, is this your last time in Toronto? And there's Tommy Haas over Rainer Schuttler. Is this your last time in Cincinnati? I think a part of him doesn't even know, doesn't know if this is his last year. And the Armenian, Sarkis Sargsyan, over Mikhail Kradichvili of Switzerland. 7-5 in the third. But how about in this game, Agassi just putting a little more heat on his ground strokes.
The times in the past when you couldn't tell just how much Agassi cared. But it's really hard for me now to make that judgment. We're on serve in the second. Western and Southern Financial Masters, everybody. This is Mardy Fish and Andre Agassi. Fish winning the first set. Agassi in front in the second. But on serve, Mardy Fish is serving into the sun to try to get level.
And the last time Fish was serving on this side of the court, started with a double fault, missed forehand. He was down love 30. Yep. And coming out of the break, the crowd was as boisterous as it has been all day, because they're wanting more tennis. They know Agassi's one game away from the third set. That's what we see from the Punisher, as you called him. So often, the forehand. Haven't seen too many winners off of him today. Another big serve from Mardy Fish when he needed it. 128 miles an hour. That was Fisher's 10th ace. Oh, there's a perfect example. I mean, look at Agassi just looking dejected. That ball down the, literally the middle of the court, straight into his backhand. Got to keep those feet moving. One thing he does a lot, you'll see him jumping around, right before the serve. Look at him right now. He's just kind of standing there, lumbering back and forth. He's just not into his. You got to keep those feet moving. Yeah. Now that is actually the kind of point we expect to see when both of these players are on the baseline. Now 30 all. He's 2 points from the second set. I mean, Agassi typically has the ability to work the ball around, get his opponent on the move, and get the short ball like he did there. But Fish has found himself a couple of times in this game a good 10 feet behind the baseline. That's not where Fish wants to be. 40. You see Agassi just yelling out to himself after that missed return. And he knows how big that point was, and he has a forehand return right on his racket and doesn't catch the strings.
Game point. And it's an even ball game in the second set, 5 apiece. First set to Mardy Fish, closing in on a second set tiebreak. Only one service break in the match. Chances, but only one break.
Cliff, I felt like that was the chance for Agassi there. 30 all, loses 2 points in a row. I felt like we were talking about this on the changeover. I said, I feel like Agassi is going to get something going and get this to a third set. I think that 5-all game was his chance to break serve. I don't have that same feeling anymore.
Steers one down the line, Fish in the net. It's 15 all. The story of Andre Agassi now has become one of a family man. Father of 2 children, Jaden Gill and Jazz. Husband to, don't call me Steffi, Stephanie Groff.
And what a great speech he gave in introducing her when she was being inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Classic.
Had people crying. But I think he might be crying at the end of this match with some of the tennis that he's been playing. But here he has a couple of game points.
It was 99 that he won the French. Agassi holds. It was 99 when he and Stephanie really started the affair that led to this family man. 6-5. This is a Masters event, ladies and gentlemen. That means that all of the top players are automatically entered. Now, some of them have to pull out because of injury, and we've had a few. David now, Bandian, for example, he's gone. So David Sanchez also. Correa had to pull out. He was injured, but this was very lately. He pulled out actually after the draw had been made.
Yep, and this event here, the second Tennis Masters event of the U.S. Open Series. Bit of a late call. I'm not so sure either player thought that ball was out. Shot spot showing the ball was out, and it was a correct call. But Agassi was probably more upset at the call because he had hit a good return.
Like we're headed up toward a tiebreak in the second.
And going into the tiebreak, now Fish with 3 game points from a tiebreak. You've got to give the advantage to Mardy Fish the way this match is going on and the way he's been able to serve.
Not sure I agree with that, Mel, because we've had Agassi's had his chances to break. He just
But he
hasn't
hasn't,
broken.
right.
That's true. But you know, if it's a matter of getting to the, we'll see. We'll see.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, we'll see. But I mean, there's nothing about what Andre has been able to do today that tells me he's okay. He's gonna get this to a third and, you know, pull it out in the third. I just don't get that feeling at all.
16 short.
That question will be answered as we get to a tiebreak in the second.
But like I said, I thought that 5-all game on Fish's serve when Agassi, you know, missed that relatively easy return at 30 on. I just thought that was a big game for him.
A line clipper for a winner, and Agassi has the first point.
And he rips that forehand, which was right off of the baseline. And look at this forehand here. That's what we like to see from Agassi. Shot spot catching the outside of the line. But one of the reasons I think Fish is so effective, and we saw it right there, it's not a big serve, 111 miles an hour, but he's mixing it up so well. On that ad side, he's using the kick serve out wide effectively, as well as the one up the tee. And then he'll come with the juice, like on that one, 134 miles an hour. But look how Agassi makes the adjustment. That was a 90-mile-an-hour second serve, and that's the first time today that Agassi was standing a good 15 feet behind the baseline on the second serve. So it took him a while. Took him almost 2 sets, but he made a little adjustment there. Gave Fish a different look.
And it worked. He's got the mini break 2-1.
I was a little surprised that he went to that backhand side of Fish. That's where he's been hurt a couple of times. Wow, just using that hand-eye coordination, getting the racket head through, and 3-1.
Guides that one easily for a clean winner, and Agassi at 4-1, representing really just one serve point break, mini break. But these next two serves for Mardy Fish are crucial.
But what a great tiebreak so far for Agassi. 4 points on the board for him. 3 of them have been off of winners. Oh.
129 a mile an hour winner, and that one wide too. And that speed gun usually takes off a couple of miles per hour when you hit the ball wide.
But you know, if you have that type of placement, Cliff, it doesn't really matter if the serve is 115 or 120 or Andy Roddick at 140 or 150. I mean, if you have good placement, you're going to hit an effective serve and get your aces and service winners and easy second balls. Carlos Moya through in 3 sets.
4-3.
Sun is behind Agassi now. That was a terrific serve there from Mardy Fish. Got 2 points on his serve, and he needed them badly. Agassi still in front. Service break 4-3. They're heading to 7 for the set.
See where Agassi goes with this second serve.
Presented Fish with the opportunity to pass, but Marty was way back behind the baseline. And Agassi maintains the lead 5-3.
Agassi almost got into a little bit of trouble. Did you see where that forehand landed? On the service line, and Fish had a pretty good look at it. See if Agassi swings this out wide. He doesn't want to give Fish a look at a backhand.
6-3.
And that's exactly what he did. He figures, hey, it's 5-3 right now. Fish is going to go for a big return. Let him do it off the forehand. If he can do it on what I consider his worst shot, okay, too good.
Set points coming up here for Andre Agassi, and this is Australian Open kind of weather. It's humid and hot. Of course, in Oz, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute, it changes a lot down there. But and that has been Andre's most successful slam. Second set goes to Andre Agassi. Set 3 when we come back. This is the Western and Southern Financial Group Masters in Mason. Agassi about to go here in the third set as he wins the second in a tiebreak, and here are, look at some of your statistics from the second or for the match.
Well, here's the second set, and Agassi doing a solid job with that first serve percentage, even though he's not going to get a lot of free points. 13 errors compared to 18 for Fish in that second set. But I think the most important thing that happened in that second set for Agassi, and it doesn't show on the statistics there, is how he was able to start that tiebreak. I mean, 3 of the first 4 points that he won in that tiebreak were clean winners. I mean, he set the tone early in that tiebreak, and he was able to ride that momentum. And, you know, we always talk about in tennis and in sports, things can change very, very quickly. You know what? This point right here, the first point of the third, that could go a long ways towards the momentum continuing in Agassi's favor in this third set. In this match, I should say.
15.
But now for Mardy Fish, the question is, I want to see how he's going to react to this. Just a handful of points away from being in the second round. Now he finds himself in the third set.
Thirty, 50.
Darren Cahill, Andre Agassi's coach, Australian former top 20 player on tour. Back in the 80s, Cahill was.
Andre's wife, Stephanie, is clearly a Hall of Famer and was inducted this year. Maybe the most successful woman player of all time, by some definition anyway. One year she won the Grand Slam, in fact the Golden Slam, because that year she won gold at the Olympics as well.
1988. Fish not liking that call at all. He was a little lackluster on his way back, but shot spot shows that that ball hit right on the back of the line. So a good call by the linesperson. But not much of an argument from Fish.
Mardy Fish holds one in the third set. It was a magnificent speech that Andre Agassi made while introducing his wife for her Hall of Fame induction.
Sort of introducing her or presenting her was special to me and important to me because it was important to her. And you know, it's hard to find the words to sort of communicate somebody like this, you know, what they've accomplished on the court, who they are off the court. So it was something I tried to put a lot of thought to, and certainly I cared about it, and I hope that it was perceived that way.
It absolutely was. I mean, that in his induction speech and the words that he had towards his wife and what she had been able to accomplish, I mean, it had people in tears.
Andre Agassi is a very articulate person.
You know, but it's amazing to me that the transformation that we've seen from him. Because I know Agassi and Andre Agassi, what he was like when he was, you know, 15, 16 years old, and he and I and a group of 6 other guys were roommates at Bollettieri's. And to hear him, you know, talk so eloquently now, and I don't know what that was.
I didn't hear a let. Machine didn't go off.
Norm Chris, the chair umpire, says he didn't hear a let. That was his answer to Agassi's question.
There's that net calling device that he says that didn't go off.
And to me, that's number 3, Cliff. That's the 3rd mental error on Agassi's part.
What do you mean the third? What was the?
Well, remember at the time after
No,
the
I know
first
the other
set?
2, but what was the third? That he questioned the call?
Well, not that he questioned the call, but it wasn't a let, and he does this full 360 and hits this shot behind his back. You saw that, right?
Yes, I did. That is called good, and ShotSpot says yes, it was. Agassi checking that mark out more than a few times.
Yeah, but he still has a game point.
Even in the third.
But the point I was making a few moments ago is, you know, just how much he has matured over the course of his career. And now, certainly he has a ton of respect from players and fans and everyone around the world. But, you know, to hear him speak, you know, about his wife like that, I mean, it was amazing. I think over in the past, he has had times in his career when maybe his priorities weren't exactly in the right order. At the time, he thought they were, but...
You going back to image is everything?
Well, there's nothing wrong with image as long as you have some substance to it. And the image came long before the substance.
I was never as critical of the image thing as everybody else was. I just felt like this was something that, I mean, he's a Las Vegas boy,
Right.
and he's a showman, and he wanted to share. And so he hadn't won a slam, so a lot of people have never won a slam. Now he's got 8 under his belt, and clearly there was always a lot more than just image, and there was substance, and he proved that. Not only that, but he was down and out at a certain time in tennis sense and came right back to #1 in the world. And it was Pete Sampras who always said, even in those years when Andre was in the 100s,
Right.
that this is my real competition.
Absolutely. I mean, how much of an endorsement is that from the #1 Pete Sampras about a guy who's ranked 100 in the world? Well, Andre's still, you know, I feel that he's still my #1 competitor, my toughest opponent.
Love 30. Mardy Fish has not been broken in this match.
Nope. And that was a bit of an error for him because he thought Agassi's return was going to land long.
Yet.
How often do you see this? Agassi in the 3rd set of a match having not broken serve.
Agassi has got 2 games to 1 in the 3rd set. He'll serve and we come back. This is set 3, first round. Western and Southern Financial Group Masters in Mesa. Greetings, everybody, and welcome back to Western and Southern Financial Group Masters. 2 games to 1. Agassi got the breaker serve in the 2nd, and Mardy Fish was attended to during the changeover there by Per Bastold, who's one of the ATP Tour trainers. He's on his stomach, and Mal, you've been talking about this injury.
Yeah, you can see Per, the trainer there, just digging his thumbs into that mid to lower back of Mardy Fish because he's been having some lower back spasms. And he suffered the injury a couple of weeks ago in Indianapolis when he was practicing. He hit a first serve, felt something in his back, hit a second serve, and it completely locked up, and he didn't hit a single ball for 5 days. And just started playing this past Friday, and we've been wondering this entire match, was it going to be a factor? And for 2 sets and 3 games in this 3rd set, it didn't seem like it was a factor. We didn't really see him tweak anything, you know, in this 3rd set. Then he called the trainer out. You could just see him grinding into that lower back, trying to loosen it up. And I've had experiences with lower back spasms. And the longer you're out on the court, the worse they can get because your back, well, mine never loosens up. A couple of bad misses from Fish. But now for Fish, the thing is okay, you got to put it out of your head. You can't be thinking about the injury, which is darn near impossible because you feel it constantly.
Agassi maintains the lead 3-1. Fish to serve here in the 3rd. You saw the Moya score from Spain, the #4 seed, had a very good year. In the next round, he takes on either Ivan Lubicic or Xavier Malisse. Lubicic, Croatian, and Belgians, Xavier Malisse. Malisse won the first set of that match between the two, just by the way. Meanwhile, the winner of this one takes on either Gregory Carras or Thomas Johansson.
Cliff, I think this game will really get a feel for how that back is feeling for Mardy Fish, because he injured his back when he was serving, and this is the first game he's served since the trainer came out on court and tended to him, and he starts out with a double and immediately puts his hand on that back and massages it a little bit. Yep, you could see it right there. He didn't go for that backhand. He did not go for that shot. He moves towards and just pulls up at the last second.
It's a big serve from Mardy. This is a bad news this for Davis Cup. It's bad news for the Olympics for him. And it's bad news for his summer, because if you have lower back problems on these hard courts, he's got a tough road ahead.
You know, and assuming, and I know he's had back spasms, and assuming that that is the entire problem, with my experience with it, nothing helps it other than some ice, some heat, and rest. You can't go back out on court too early, because it'll just lock back up on you. You just have to rest until the spasms completely go away. And now he faces 2 more break points to go down 2 breaks here in the third.
And there is the second break, so that's a little insurance for Andre Agassi. Last time they played, it was Mardy Fish in San Jose who won. Agassi throws in the driver's seat now in the third. Mardy Fish is out of this championship. While we were away, he was attended to by Per Bastolt, the ATP Tour trainer. And as you know, he'd been having back problems, was attended to in the last changeover. So for Mardy Fish, a sad day. Andre Agassi, the winner. He's got a long way to go, Mardy Fish, from here to Athens and then back to the US Open. Meanwhile, Andre Agassi goes through to round 2 of the Western and Southern Financial Group Masters. 4-1 in the third. Agassi wins the match, 4-1 in the third. Mardy Fish is signing with a bad back. Here's the Olympus shot of the day, Mount.
And Cliff, we think it's the very first point of the third set. Mardy Fish has a forehand volley, and Agassi reflexes that winner down the line. He set the tone in the tiebreak with the Tennessee plate, and I think he set the tone with this first point of the third set, and that's our Olympic shot of the day.
And is that what set the tone for you? Because it was so close, Andre. You had your chances in the first set. You lost the first set. Second set, no breaks. And then you took it to him in the tiebreak.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of chance in the first, but he came up with a few big serves. I think the only point I got into on break point, he had 2 overheads and ended up, you know, it was... he just stepped up in that first set, and then he got 1 break. Second set, I didn't have many looks. He served well, and you know, tiebreakers, so many things can happen out there. Once I got through that, I mean, you know, his back started bothering him. Apparently, he couldn't serve that big anymore, and that certainly gave me a lot more looks in the third.
Andre, we always talk about the mental side of tennis. How were you, feeling mentally? Because, there was that one moment where after the first set, you walked to the wrong side of the court. There were a couple of times on, new ball changes. You always go automatically, go get that new racket. Looked like one time there was maybe you didn't do that automatically. Where were you mentally?
Well, you're pretty observant there, Mal, but I got to say that, I was trying to get into the rhythm of the match. We didn't have a lot of baseline rallies. He was taking his chances, and I was just trying to figure out what I'm going to do to give myself a look in the second set. And I'm not used to the ball change. The ball change is always being on an even score, where both of us, I sort of saw him disappearing to the side, and I was wondering what's he doing, and I didn't hear but I'm trying to get it together. It's going to take me a few matches to string together before I'm fully confident. That's for sure.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean you're trying to get it together? What are you trying to get together, Andre?
Well, I need to put together some good matches back to back. I feel like I've been practicing really well and playing a lot of great sets in practice. I feel like I've come out here and I've played some random good matches this summer, and I just feel like, in order to really believe in yourself out here, you got to do it against different types of players. You got to do it back to back, and it'd just be nice to get a few in a row.
All right, well, you got to win here today, and congratulations, notwithstanding that your man had to pull out against you. Well done, Andre. Andre Agassi through the second round of the Western and Southern Financial Group Masters, a win over Mardy Fish.